And welcome back to another episode of the Mining and Markets podcast hosted by Senergy Capital. I hope everyone is having a fantastic week so far. I'm looking forward to this episode and discussion we're about to have with not one, but two distinguished experts in the space. Today we're joined with Ray Ashley. He's the president of F3 Uranium and has about 40 years of exploration and development experience with numerous discoveries, most recently, which I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with, at F3's famous PLN project, which is actually the newest high-grade uranium discovery in the Athabasca region, and this discovery was led by Ray. So before we even get started, hats off to you. What an achievement that was, and still is, and probably will always be. I remember reading the news release at the time regarding the discovery and watching F3 stock multiply many times during that short time frame. Unfortunately, I was watching from the sidelines, but it didn't take long for me to pick up a position afterwards. So it's an honor to speak with you today, Ray. We're also joined today with Sherman Dahl, who's been on the show before. He's a highly successful entrepreneur and financier with many years of capital markets experience. And of course, he's the CEO of SKRR Exploration, which just announced some exciting news today regarding a work program for exploration at their newly optioned Clearwater West uranium project. So that's the primary reason for this episode. Sherman, Ray, thank you guys so much for joining me today. Let's jump right into the recent news and discuss these details a bit further.
Well, thanks, Aleem. Great to be on your show. And yeah, the news release this morning is really a follow-up to the signing of the joint venture agreement with F3. SKRR is very excited to be having the ability to execute this option agreement number one in what really is one of the most exciting areas on the planet when it comes to uranium. I mean, if we take the big picture view, two of the most significant discoveries recently for uranium have been in this district. So it was based on our relationship with Ray and some of the other senior management of F3 that we approached F3 with the idea of doing a joint venture on the Clearwater property, which is right in the heart of this whole district. So following up from the signing of the joint venture agreement, today we've announced that we've begun the work and begun the thought process of how we would begin work on the Clearwater program. Clearly, as outlined in the news release, one of the key aspects is working with Ray Ashley and his team. SKRR is very fortunate to have F3 as the operator of this property. And so today's news release starts to highlight some of the areas that Ray and his team are going to be looking at in concert with us as to how we would get boots on the ground and how we would start to explore the Clearwater West project.
Great. And Ray, what's kind of the strategy in terms of this exploration program? Is it going to be similar to what you guys did with F3, or what are you guys thinking so far?
Yes, Aleem. Yeah, pretty much that's it. The Clearwater West property, that's a property that was spun out by Fission after we made the discovery of SKRR. So, to go back, the first discovery was the J-Zone, Fission Energy's J-Zone discovery in 2010. And in 2012, that Fission Energy was sold. And right after that, in 2012, was when Fission Uranium, the SKRR discovery, was made. And that SKRR deposit is 13 kilometers north of Clearwater West. So it's very close to the Clearwater West property. So the Clearwater West property was acquired back then, and it was spun out into F3 along with other properties. So, we've actually worked on the Clearwater West property quite a long time ago. The initial work, airborne geophysics, it's the same exploration sequence of activities that we've followed, in making these several discoveries in the basin. A lot of that work at Clearwater West has already been done. Airborne electromagnetic survey was flown in 2013. That resulted in discovering several EM conductors, and those conductors are what we look for that end up being reactivated shear zones along which the fluids travel that these high-grade uranium deposits are associated. So the EM survey was done. An airborne radiometric survey was also flown. And so quite a long time ago, the first drill program at Clearwater West was carried out in 2015, and only 3 drill holes were drilled during that program because of budget constraints. So we're excited to be able to go back and continue the exploration at Clearwater West. As Sherman said, it's in an ideal location due south of Arrow and SKRR, which are, world very large deposits in an area where it's almost certain that the next major development of uranium mines in the Athabasca Basin is going to be. So it's, the best place to look for a deposit is near a deposit, so it's ideally situated. A lot of the work to generate drill targets is already done. So, yeah, the news release pointed out that we're reviewing all of that data. We may be in the fall following up the airborne radiometric targets to actually, what that aims to do is find uranium boulders potentially coming from deposits. That's what it looks for. That was what was discovered to the west of the Triple R deposit and led to the discovery of the Triple R deposit. So we'll be, we're reviewing that data to see if follow-up, some's been done, but conceivably more follow-up of the radiometric data. And then there's ground EM and resistivity that's already been completed, which was done just before that small drill program. So that'll be reviewed again. Even though only 3 drill holes were drilled in 2015, they did intersect the things that we look for that these uranium deposits are associated with. They were, in fact, graphitic shear zones, those conductors that were drilled. And there were structures there with evidence of hydrothermal alteration. Those are all the signs that we look for in exploring for these deposits. So, F3 was looking for a financial partner to be able to continue the exploration at Clearwater West. As Aleem said, Sherman is a financier and entrepreneur, and he's capable of raising money to advance the exploration. He's good at raising the money and is connected with sophisticated shareholders, and he has a good team around him. So Sherman, for a long time, Sherman used to come and visit the Triple R deposit years ago and has been working with our group for a long time. So it's a personal relationship as well. And we're excited to be able to get back to work. It's a property in the right neighborhood near huge deposits, and a lot of the work's been done to generate exploration targets. So we're looking forward to what we might be able to come up with this winter and in the upcoming drill programs.
Fantastic. Sherman, do you have anything to add on that?
I think that really when you look at the success of Triple R and the Arrow deposit, not to mention also is remember the success that Ray and his team have had at F3 with the more recent discovery. So clearly we've got, mineralization that we want to follow up at Clearwater. We're in the right district. And really what it's going to come down to is raising some more capital within SKRR, in particular some flow through dollars that we can go and drill this Clearwater project. And, I might add that, SKRR has recently cleaned up the structure of SKRR. So SKRR only has 15 million shares outstanding. So we have a very, very low market cap. We do have cash in the bank that we're going to be very careful with going forward. And that, along with really tapping the interest that we're seeing in the uranium sector. I mean, F3 just recently announced a $20 million bought deal, which was grossly oversubscribed. So even in these tougher junior markets, investors are paying attention to uranium, as they should. So the goal of the entire team and our team and Ray's team is to really go into an area which has known mineralization and a very exciting area around the Clearwater West program and get to work. And the plan is to make another discovery.
The timing couldn't be better. Sherman, do you mind talking a little bit about the structure of the deal to acquire Clearwater? What are the terms of that?
Sure. Just in our news release, maybe not the current news release, but we've alluded to the terms of the deal in the news releases that we've published. But it's an option agreement to earn 70% of the property by certain spending levels that we have to achieve over about a 3-year period.
Yeah, to put that into context, Aleem, F3's new discovery, the JR zone, that's grabbing a lot of the attention right now. That is the JR zone is located about 25 kilometers to the northwest of Triple R, Fission Uranium's Triple R. So, that new discovery has very similar grades and widths to what's seen at Next Gen's Arrow and Triple R, with a 15-meter wide intersections of mineralization with super high-grade core, like 30% uranium over a few meters. That, it's really showing that, there stands to be other mineralization to be found in that neck of the woods. It's an exciting new discovery. It just, I think, highlights the potential for discovery in this region.
And to put some numbers on it too, Aleem, I think the total spend is around $6 million in total over the 3-year deal. The main thing that we're focused on in the short term is raising $1 million in the first year for the initial drill program.
Right.
Yeah, and often, Aline, it takes quite a lot of money to do the work I was describing. Airborne surveys are, they're costly. And then the ground follow-up, all of that's been done. And really, targets were generated already that have not been tested. So that's, the beauty that the next round of exploration expenditures, really a big part of that will be focused on actually drill testing targets. So that's one of the advantages of the project, is that it's got so much previous work already done, and targets that have yet to be tested.
So the drilling historically, the 3 holes that have previously been drilled, are these all going to be, played a part in this upcoming drill program for SKRR? Are you guys going to use some of those drill holes to come up with new targets, or what's your thinking behind that?
Yeah, absolutely. Those drill holes are already describe the nature of a few of the targets. There's something like 20 different conductive areas and 10 or 15 conductor axes that have been defined from these airborne surveys. So only a very, very small number of them were tested. The original plan was to drill many more holes in that first program, something like 10 holes. But the budget constraints, that program had to be stopped early. And already, just with those 3 holes, that also were not really, the targets were not adequately tested. The holes should have been extended longer than they were. They were stopped shorter than when we re-looked at that. Then now we would have stopped them. So we're already nonetheless seeing some of the good indications that we look for. So yeah, that just reinforces that the targets that have been generated from this previous airborne geophysical and ground geophysical work really warrant testing. And yeah, that's why we're currently reviewing everything in light of what we're seeing too. As we go, the more we learn. And so we're reviewing everything really to focus the dollars and the work and the targets to those which we think stand the greatest chance. So it's really going to be, we're looking forward to this program.
Awesome. Sherman, what's next for news flow in terms of upgrading and advancing this project?
Well, I think the big thing that investors can look forward to is potentially a couple different things that we're going to be talking about. One is SKRR has other assets in the portfolio. We've got some very good gold assets that have been advanced. So we're not we're continuing to look at potential joint venture opportunities with some of our other assets. And this can be demonstrated by our most recent transaction where we did a deal with Fathom Nickel, which is also in the news today. They are getting ready to drill one of their nickel projects, which is now part of an overall package with Watts Lake, which was a zinc property. So SKR has, continues to have some hidden gems within the portfolio. So, you could see some additional news in terms of, potential transactions within the company. But probably the most important thing is going into September, we're going to be active at the conferences talking to high net worth individuals that are really interested in the uranium space. And we know they're out there, again, just by evidenced by, the most recent F3 transaction with the $20 million bought deal. We know that there's interest in uranium. So stay tuned. We've got a very clean share structure. We've got cash in the bank, and, we've got what we consider to be the 3 Ps, which is, tremendous project with Clearwater West. We've also got, the right people, in particular, the operators with F3. And when investors look at the price, we've got a very low market cap and a very tight share structure. So people that are buying shares in SKRR are really partnering with the geological expertise of F3 in a nice, clean, tight vehicle. So any of the upside, all the upside that we're going to have on the discovery is really going to very much a big potential win for the shareholders of SKRR.
I'm looking forward to the future. Ray, do you have anything else to add before we wrap up here?
Well, Sherman said it. I'm lucky to work with a phenomenal team, exploration team. We're lucky to have been around and been a part of high-grade uranium discoveries in the basin. So we've learned from that. A great team of people. And we have a track record of discovery as a team. So, and then the Clearwater West property with trends that are parallel to the ones that trend onto it could be this extend onto the PLS property. in the right neck of the woods with a lot of exploration and modern and the right kind of data already for us to review and work on. And I see that, a clear path forward. Follow up of airborne radiometric anomalies before the snow flies, and then more ground geophysics to define additional conductors, that airborne conductors, and then a review of all that to select the best targets. And really, fairly quickly, we've generated high quality drill targets that we can go right to testing with, early on when we get back to work at Clearwater. So it's a great partnership and with the ability to go forward. So I'm really looking forward to it.
With you and your team behind this, I'm confident that it's going to work out. Thank you guys so much for your time today. I hope we can stay in touch in the future, and I look forward to seeing more results.
Yeah, you bet, Aline. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Aline.